KNS Microwash 973 used for cleaning masks and substrates. Here I have a 5-inch mask to be cleaned. I'm loading it on the sample holder, and the mask is held under mechanically screws and covers, the holding two mask holding clamps here. And this is the dispensing arm for a high pressure DI water dispenser, and the nitrogen blowing nozzle here. The system also got a IR heat lamp. I'm enabling it manually to test it, and there's a provision for holding the samples on the vacuum, but at this moment that is not being used. Currently the lid is open. I'm going to close the lid. So in order to close the lid, there are two switches, the lid close switches. Both should be held simultaneously until the lights turn on. There are vacuum gauges and pressure gauges here to indicate the nitrogen pressure and the reionizing carbon dioxide pressure, and the vacuum chuck vacuum level indicator. The main power switch and the power off switch. There is no indicator for the power off and lid open switches. So after turning on the power on switch, the system controller will boot up, and here's the display, a touchscreen HMI device. This system can be operated in manual mode too, to test the individual solenoid valves and indications. In order to select a recipe, click on recipe, and we can view a recipe or load a recipe. 3 recipes to be loaded, and I'm selecting number 1, and the recipe is already loaded. There's a HP clean cycle time which can be changed in edit mode, and the dry 1 and dry 2 durations, and there are also the cycle speed, and the dry 1 and dry 2 speeds can be entered. I'm going to demonstrate how to edit a recipe. Recipe option, edit a recipe, and the edit password is 1973. Enter it, and I'm going to select recipe 1. Example, I want to change the cycle time for that. I click on that and enter 35 and enter. So all fields can be modified similar to this. And I'm going back to the home. So there's a system setup menu for changing the system parameters and entering the password. If the wrong password is entered, the system would accept it. 1973, enter. So the system screen brightness can be increased or decreased. In the manual mode, the passcode is 3910. Enter, and I can turn on a CDA to HP and DI to HP. The individual valves can be turned on, and we can abort all valves by clicking on that. Pressing on the forward arrow, you can see the input limit switches status, such as lid close switch, lid open switch, and chuck centering sensor, start switch, vacuum switch, etc. Now I'm going to spin it manually at 100 RPM and demonstrate. Right now the chuck is spinning. Clicking on spin again, it will stop it. So let's start a recipe. Load a recipe, view it, and to start the cycle, press on the start cycle button. So the gauge indicates the high pressure up to 2000 psi pulsating, and it's also indicated on the screen. And the arm, the dispensing arm, is oscillating. I'm using a canister tank for dispensing the DI water, and that's the first step, which is high pressure cleaning. Now it is dry 1. It's going to run for 30 seconds while spinning the chuck at about 1615 rotations per minute. And the dry 2 cycle is on. All the indication lamps on the console are 28 volts AC lamps, port number 757. So once the cycle is ended, it will be indicated by the blinking of done lamp, and the start cycle lamp is disabled. So I'm going to open the lamp lid, and removing the sample. Now we are ready for another cycle.